Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Parenting Podcast from Dubuque, Iowa. We're talking about the importance of helping your children win with money and really manage the money that God has put into their hands, because how money today affects their tomorrow in so many ways. Now, today we want to talk about this point, that it all belongs to God, and that we are not the proprietor. We're the manager. We're the steward of it. In Psalm 24, verse 1, we read this: "The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof." The reality is God owns all of it. You know, sometimes we get the thought that God owns what we give. You know, like two guys were out there and they were talking about giving one time. Guy said, "Well, I give this much." The other guy says, "I give this much. I give at church or I give online." Another guy says, "Well, I do it this way. I just throw it all up in the air, and whatever God wants, He keeps. Whatever He doesn't want, it just comes back down." That's not a good system. And people sometimes feel like, "Well, I give this," but the reality is God owns it all.
Yeah.
He owns what's left as well as what's given. And in Luke chapter 16, verse 2, there's a parable that Jesus taught, and really the essence of the parable is that to use the money that's in your hands and be profitable with it. And Jesus even made the statement that the children of this world are wiser in money things than the children of light, than the children of God. And so we need to wise up. And in the second verse of Luke 16, in the start of the parable, he talks about the fact that the steward that was in charge, the manager that was in charge of a rich man's goods, was called to give an account of it. And each of us have an account from God. We have things that are in our hands that belong to Him. We're not the proprietor, and I think that's a big shift for us. We're not the owner. It all belongs to God, and we're the manager of it. And so we're going to stand before the Lord and give an account for how well we managed and what we did with what we have been put in our hands. And so one thing we need to do as we're raising our children is to get this mindset into them that they're a manager of it. They're a steward of these things. They're not the owner of God's things. These things are just in their hands for a while, and they're going to be rewarded for how they manage, but they're not the owner of it at all.
So it's important as our kids are little and they start to get money, it's important that this is a good time to start to instill into them that the first tenth of everything that God gives us as an honor and a worship to Him goes back to Him. So we teach them when they're young to begin to honor God with what they have in their hand. And that helps to instill that truth in them that everything belongs to God.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things. And I was looking online for some things because I had heard about, we didn't have these when our kids were young, but I've heard of these, and so I looked them up because I think it'd be a great tool for you, all you Christian parents who are wanting to train your children not only to give to the Lord, but to take those steps to save, to invest.
Can I jump in here for just a moment? I love what you said. We didn't do this when our kids were growing up, necessarily this way, but we've seen that it works. We've seen it in the lives of other people.
Yes.
And I just wanted to underline what we said earlier. We're all learning and growing. There's some things that we did well, but we're learning some new things. I mean, technology moves forward, so you need to advance.
Yes.
So, go ahead.
So anyway, I saw these little things that you can get for your kids. Now, a lot of us have a piggy bank for our kid to put their little birthday money in, or quarters they find on the street. I don't know, cans and bottle money here in Iowa. But I saw these piggy banks that have, instead of just one slot, they have 4 different sections. One of them was called the Money Savvy Pig, and it has 4 sections. And the sections are save, spend, donate, invest. And so the kids learn that what I can actually spend out of what I got is maybe, like 30%, or in this case, whatever percentages you want to help your kids do. Another one's called Moon Jar Classic Money Bank, and it just has 3. It has save, spend, share. So kind of the same idea. It depends on how much of a emphasis you want to instill in your children about investments as they're young. There's another one that is actually stacking blocks. They kind of look like Legos, but they're transparent colors, and it's called Colorful Stacking Block Coin Bank. So you can stack them different ways, but they're spend, save, share, and invest. So those are just some ideas, something you can get as a tool to help you with in teaching your kids that not everything they get in their life is for them to consume right now. You know, some of it is to honor God, some of it is to save, some of it is to invest for the future, and some of it is because God wants you blessed and He wants you to have something, and God likes for you to be blessed, and He gives you things to enjoy. God's not an ogre. He's not trying to take things from you. He's trying to give things to you.
In Proverbs it says there's wealth to be desired and oil in the dwelling of the wise, but the foolish person spends it all up or squanders it. And so God wants you to have a good life.
He does.
And yet the balance of that is it's not all about you. If you're going to have a good life, others need to be in your heart as well.
Right. So to wrap this one up, I guess the ending thought that we want to leave you with today is that by teaching your kids early on to tithe, you're teaching them that they're a steward, they're not the owner, that God owns everything, and that we need to obey Him and honor Him in all that we do with our money. Have a great week. Thank you for watching today.